happen. Let's make this happen. Topic of the day: Big RAMY Mamdouh LSBI. Big RAMY is the topic of the day, and I have to admit, man, I'm really excited and happy about talking of Big RAMY, which is our current Mr. Olympia 2020 champion, and I'm so happy for him. It really made me smile quite a lot that day. Okay, so let's start. This is a side pose, and I have to admit that every single side pose was money for Rami. And why is that? Is there a specific reason? Well, hell yes, it is. These, the wheels, all the details that now he has on his legs, it's just amazing, and the amount of size, and we knew that he had size. I mean, he's big Rami, he's not medium Rami, he's big Rami, but the amount of detail coming from his glutes, coming from his hamstrings, the humongous quad that he had, it wasn't something that we were expecting from him, because let's be honest, Rami has never been known for his conditioning, but this time he nailed it, and oh boy, did he. If we go a little bit to the upper body, a midsection that was in control pretty much the whole show, the 2 days of the show, he had his midsection under a regimen. Very strict. And I just love the way that his physique flows in general. I mean, his head that looks pretty much like another trap. And I'm saying that in a very respectful way, meaning his traps are so huge. Then the way that they connect with the shoulders and the vascularity on his biceps, it looks beautiful. Let's go into the next picture. Front double bicep right here. That when you see him alone hitting this front double bicep pose, maybe not as impressive as when you put him next to another big guy, and then you realize how huge and how muscular Rami really is. That being said, I have to still admit that I love the new details that we are seeing on his quads. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's go into the next picture. Front lat spread. Okay, guys, keep this picture in mind, because he wasn't hitting this pose this way. He was hitting it with the abs crunch like this, and when you do that, you lose width. But this guy is so wide, and he was in fact so much wider than everybody on stage. He was wider than the building itself, I should say, that he didn't need to, that he was able to pull off this pose and yet still looking amazing. And at least on my book, that's a pose that was basically a take-home pose for him. He was winning it every day, my friends. Let's go into the next picture right now. We have him hitting a variation of a most muscular, pretty much, hands on hips, and the other hand in the air, basically like if it was a half crab pose. Beautiful for him, because he was he was the most muscular guy. Obviously he was gonna win the most muscular pose. Let's move forward. Side poses again, all the details on his legs, not even gonna mention it again, but the details and the things that were going on his upper body are definitely worth mentioning. The details on his side chest, how full and how round his another pec looked, the way that his shoulder connects onto his chest is not as other chest and shoulder connection that pretty much look like they are melting together. Here you can clearly see the difference between one muscle and another, yet still look amazing. And I have to admit, the way that his bicep look in this pose, beautiful, and how round his shoulder look, and he was just, I mean, this is pretty much a package that he will seek the rest of his life. Not every time you can nail it, and he definitely did this year. Very, very good. Next pose, side tricep. Okay, even though this is a side pose, and as I said, every side pose was money for him, I was a little nervous about him being able or not to hit this pose, because if you know a thing or two about bodybuilding, you will know that those big guys like Rami, which is 290 on contest weight, which is just unbelievable. They have a hard time trying to hit this pose because it's nearly impossible for them to connect both hands in the correct way and then be able to stretch that single arm that have to be shown in a very good manner, and also be able to show the whole physique in an efficient way. So he wasn't hitting this pose like a 10 out of 10 straight out of the book, yet he was still looking amazing. And I love the fact that he was able to hit every pose having his midsection under control. It was in fact under a regimen, very strict. Let's go into the next picture right here. You can see here, this is pretty much a not a variation but a transition pose, and I love all the details that we're able to see on his legs. Even in this transition where he's clearly not flexing at all, you can still see a lot of deep, very deep cuts. The only thing that I have to say, that I have to say it, is that I would love to see in the future more detail going on his back. Still very, very good. Next picture, please. From the back, as I said, I mean, it's not like it's totally empty. I'm talking about his lower back. It's not like it's totally empty, but I know that he can improve. He's been training with Chad Nichols and Dennis James. I'm sure that they know, and I'm sure that they will try to fix it next year. We will see. I have to admire his glutes and say that they are pretty much 9 out of 10, if not 10, on my book. Beautiful. And the way that even from the back shots, his quads are able to make it happen, it's just beautiful. Beautiful flow of his physique in the legs. And this is one of the guys that have humongous quads, humongous hamstrings, basically big legs, and they have the calves to match it. Here you can see some of his calves. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Also, I have to say, I love how huge his traps are. Even though they are, you could say, a little bit too short, they still look amazing. Let's move on to the next picture right here. This is pretty much the same story, but I will let you guys appreciate it for a few seconds. Okay, enough. Back double bicep. It was pretty much his weakest pose, I believe, from the mandatory poses. Yet he was still looking good. He wasn't. He really had a complete package this year. I mean, the only thing that you can say about Ramy this year is pretty much his lower back. But once you got over that, he was just bringing everything. Let's move on to the next picture, guys, shall we? Back lat spread. I mean, he was basically dwarfing everybody in this pose, which was to be expected. I mean, as I said before, he's Big Ramy. He's big, he's huge. But with the amount of detail that he brought this year, and even though he doesn't have the most detailed back, he was still winning this pose in my book, battling it with Mr. Hadi Chupan. They were both neck and neck. Hadi with the conditioning, Ramy with the sheer size. Beautiful. Let's go into the next picture, and I'm gonna leave some pictures from the calots so you guys can compare his body to the other guys, and realize how huge and how special this genetic freak is. There's something that I have to admit. This is the front double bicep. You guys can see how he dwarfs everybody. Let's move into the next picture. Meanwhile, I'm talking. This year side shot. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting myself, but I want you guys to realize this. Look at the legs of Hadi. This was arguably one of the most conditioned guys on stage. You guys can see there's barely some cuts, barely some detail going on his legs, even though Hadi's physique is beautiful and it just flows. But let's focus on the legs for a second. And then you got this, all kinds of deep cuts and beautiful details. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Ramy was just on a whole another level. It was lights out for everybody. I have to admit that even though Ramy's improvements on his body were huge, the biggest change that he did this year was his mindset. And I think, okay, I don't know because I wasn't there, because, well, I wasn't there, but I think that this is because of Big Dennis James. This is all due to Dennis James. He definitely helped change Ramy's mindset. Ramy used to be that big teddy bear that everybody was, in my book, trying to put down or look down, because he was such a humble guy and such a good person, basically, because that's who he is. And this year he went onto the stage with, I mean, the look that he had on his eyes was just so different. And you can see here in this pose that even though he was crunching his abs, he was the only guy crunching his abs in this pose, he was still wider than everybody. Let's move on. Side pose, money for him, as I said. Wow, the midsection of feel in this one, impressive. Okay, the change in the mindset of Ramy this year was just amazing. I really loved the attitude that he had on stage. He was being so aggressive, but not in a disrespectful way. Please don't get it twisted. He was being as respectful as always, but he has had a different look in his eyes. You could tell. And I've prepared a little clip at the end of the video for you guys, so everybody can appreciate how he was acting pretty much at the show. Here you guys have front lat spread. Everybody, obviously, this is kind of a relaxed pose, and another thing that I have to admit that Big Dennis James said, and Ramy did it, was that he was the first guy to hit the poses every time. If you watch the live stream, you will know that Ramy was the first guy to hit every single pose, and he was the last guy to release them. He was very quick in transitioning between pose and pose, and he was keeping his stomach, basically his midsection, under that strict regimen at every single time. And he was even able to run on stage, being nearly 300-pound muscle monster. This is, I mean, I guess that Big Dennis James was killing him with the training for the poses, because the amount of breath that he had to hold to keep the oxygen flowing through that huge body, 290 pounds of pure muscle, pretty much. As you guys can see, he was the first trying to get ready to hit the poses, and the last one to release them. And I'm sure that the judges noticed it. I'm sure that the judges were seeing how Ramy was acting and how aggressive he was. I mean, there are some parts of this clip that I've extracted for you guys, where you can clearly see his eyes look at him in this muscular pose. He just looks amazing. And even though he's right next to one of the guys where this used to be his takedown pose, I'm talking about Phil Heath, he was still looking absolutely amazing. And you guys can see here when he relaxes, his face, how he's looking at the judges, how he's looking at the people that was there. And yet again, the first guy to hit the poses, and he's gonna be, you will see, the last guy to release it. Just amazing. And I have to admit, I'm very happy that this is the guy that represents bodybuilding. I'm really happy that finally life pays to the hard work and being shot, being muted in a sense, being humble, not trying to take others down. Ramy is being such a good guy in his whole bodybuilding career that you just cannot hate him, and it has been proven because nobody has complained about Ramy winning this year Mr. Olympia. There been, you can see his face. I'm gonna repeat it just for you guys again here when he does that variation of the side pose. Look at his face. I mean, he was just giving it all on stage, and I'm very, very happy for him. Also, the way that he got received on his home country, Egypt. You can see here his eyes, guys. I'm very beautiful about Big RAMY. I'm very beautiful. I meant to say I'm very happy about Big RAMY, and he just deserves it so much. And I'm happy that this is the guy that is representing the sport worldwide. That's been it for the video of today, guys. I hope everyone have a good day, and please, if you enjoyed the content, I'd recommend you subscribe to the channel and also leave a like. Peace, everyone.